and as I've been saying, plenty to look forward to here. Lights out on race 1 in Motorland. Loris Baz with a good jump there. Jonathan Ray not as swift away as usual. Alex Lowe sweeps around the outside and through into second position. Ray is getting caught up in traffic here. They're side by side for third position. Some bits of carbon flying around further back down the order as Ray tries to recover third place. It's Loris Baz who's hit the front. Ray, incisive throw on the inside line on Scott Redding, who's got to watch out in turn for the attentions now of Michael Ruben Rinaldi. Lowe's has hit the front. Baz relegated to second. Redding defending on the inside line. Another Yamaha through in the shape of Michael van der Mark making swift progress off the line. Rinaldi relegated back down to 6th. Then it's Haslam. Ray diving through on Baz. That's second position for him. Baz will repay the compliments immediately up the inside line. He now is under pressure from Scott Redding. Redding bold on the brakes down the inside. The pair almost touch, possibly did touch. Side by side now between the two Yamahas as Michael van der Mark tries to take advantage. Great start this for Alex Lowe. This has gone exactly as he might have dreamed. Jonathan Ray though right back on his tail, relegated at one stage to 4th, but already looking menacing as they head in towards the twistier area of this Motorland Aragon. Davies through on Razgatlioglu down the inside into turn 1. So Chaz Davies wasting no time in capitalising on the top end strength of that Ducati, ever present here around Motorland Aragon. And a rider who's so often taken the fight to the front around this circuit is under pressure now from Razgatlioglu, but has managed to make his way through up into 6th position, which from 9th on the grid is a decent effort as Bautista further back down the order just makes a cut to the inside line to try and challenge Tom Sykes. Up at the front, we've got rather 2 races in 1 at the moment at least. Davies now a second behind van der Mark, and you fancy that Davies will try and bridge that gap, but may well bring Razgatlioglu with him. A few riders in this field are going to have to play the long game. The likes of Bautista, who's now coming under a pressure from Maximilian Scheib as the race at the front continues. We've lost Christophe Ponson. There he is, separated from his machine, bike embedded in the gravel.
Yeah, down at the corkscrew there for Ponson, and you can see at the front of the field here, Jonathan Ray has not been able to get away.
Late move from Michael van der Mark into turn 1 on Loris Baz. Baz goes back down to 5th position, so having hit the front on the opening lap, Baz has continued to slip slowly backwards within this lead group still. Davies, the fastest man of the lead sextet, is going to try and haul in ground now on Loris Baz and may make the pain even worse for the Frenchman. Razgatlioglu is next in line. Then it's Michael Ruben Rinaldi, the top 8 covered by 2.5 seconds. Leon Haslam has tumbled back to 9th position and is a second behind Rinaldi now. Scott Redding looking menacing now on the tail of Alex Lowe. Tom Sykes has made his way through up into the top 10, picking off Leon Haslam. So it might not be long before, as I suggested, the two Hondas meet in the middle. In fact, you can see it there on the left-hand side of your screen. Bautista has picked off Haslam as well. So early problems for the veteran as we watch Scott Redding closing on Alex Lowe, who sits in second place, but maybe not for much longer. He's in the slipstream, Redding. He ducks out of the slipstream, Redding, into turn number 16 down the inside. He's got to get it stopped. Lowe will look for the cutback manoeuvre. No opportunity to make it. Redding has put in a perfect manoeuvre there to take second place away. And now we've got the top 2 in the championship in the top 2 positions here in Aragon.
Yeah, the one thing for Scott Redding is he's going to be under pressure to make sure he's able to keep Lowe's in behind him. You can see for Chaz Davies and that Ducati as well, able to make the move into turn 1. For Loris Baz, he's just going backwards at this stage. He's the only other rider in this lead group other than Jonathan Ray to use that harder front tyre, and maybe he's just struggling. But big crash for Lowe's.
Big off for Alex Lowe, and he's slipping into the middle of the circuit, and that's a scary moment. Riders going this way and that to avoid him, and thankfully nobody has collected Alex Lowe, because that was a heart in your mouth moment. Now we are down to 2 at the front of the field. It's Ray versus Redding, the head-to-head. Michael van der Mark is next up, but he's now being picked off by a resurgent Chaz Davies. Davies through from 9th on the grid, is now up into the provisional podium places. Davies through to P3. Oh, Scott Redding surging out of the final turn as we embark on lap number 8. Pulls alongside Jonathan Ray and hits the front. It's go time for Scott Redding. The fight between the top 2, if Scott Redding were to stay where he is at present, he would recover the championship lead, but he'd only be 1 point clear of Jonathan Rea ahead of tomorrow's Super Pole race. It's Redding and Rea out in front. It's Davies starting to slacken off slightly here in third position, and Bautista is closing in. We've said previously that he's strong in the second half of...
Scheib
gone down. So I did notice that there was a yellow flag right in front of our commentary position, and that is for Maximilian Scheib, and that'll be an incident with the Honda man as well. Or is that a separate incident for Bautista?
That's turn 5 for Bautista.
It is. Watching then Scott Redding versus Jonathan Rea. Again, Rea to the inside line, attempting to close down the current race leader, trying to stick with him and stake a claim for the inside line. Redding for the moment has had all the answers. Rea's going to go in deep. Rea's gone very deep, and he's off the circuit altogether and loses a lot of ground there to Scott Redding. Could that be game over in the remainder of this race? It's a second opportunity now for Chaz Davies, who had probably all but given up on a top 2 slot in this race as he saw the gap extend to 1.5 seconds. It's a lot less than that now. Chaz Davies out of the slipstream into turn number 1. He gets alongside Jonathan Rea. Rea is punished for a mistake on the previous lap at turn 12. He ducks back now around the outside of Chaz Davies. Davies stands him up. Rea is pushed back from the tail of Scott Redding now to the tail of Chaz Davies, and the same problem all over again, but with a different man in front of him. It's not all over just yet. It's teammate versus teammate, 45 versus 7. 0.4 of a second between them last time across the timing beam. They've managed to stretch their legs away from Jonathan Rea in third position, and more than a second back now, almost 2 seconds back from your race leader, Scott Redding. Chaz Davies now all over his teammate. Redding desperately needs these points in the context of the championship. Davies keen for the confidence booster. It looked as though he got a little bit of lift there coming off that sequence, and he's not going to be quite close enough to strike coming into turn 16. Scott Redding then surely will be able to hold on. This will be his third victory of this 2020 season. Davies is close, but not quite close enough. It's going to be a Ducati 1-2, third win of the season for Scott Redding, and he retakes the championship lead with Jonathan Rea restricted to third. Lights out, they charge towards the first turn, particularly Scott Redding, who's eager to cut across the front of Michael van der Mark. It's green versus red into turn 1. Rea gets across to take the whole shot. It's up into second position. Scott Redding still defending against Michael van der Mark. Alvaro Bautista's away well. Then it's Michael Ruben Rinaldi. He's cut his way through very nicely in the early stages. Chaz Davies is still up there in 7th position. Razgat Lioglu is the next man for him to attack. Rinaldi on the tail of Bautista, charging hard. Rinaldi on the inside line, defends successfully against Razgat Lioglu. Baz was attempting to make background further down the order. He's been pushed down to 10th position at this stage. 3 riders all in the mix here. Razgat Lioglu diving late down the inside of Rinaldi, gets through. Rinaldi will try to come back down at him on the inside line, close between van der Mark and Redding for second position as well. Davies going a little bit deep there on the tail of Rinaldi. We'll see who can make a manoeuvre as we come out of turn 10 and in towards 12. The sweeping left-hander there, still close between Redding and van der Mark. We ride on board now with Scott Redding. Work to do then for the likes of Alex Lowe's. Good battling further down the order involving Leon Haslam as well, tussling with Loris Baz. That's over 8th position. Back up at the front, Michael van der Mark has been stalking Scott Redding so far, and that's enabled Jonathan Rea to escape away. Bautista with plenty of pace down that back straight, didn't get far away from making his manoeuvre on the Dutchman for 3rd position. So all of the front runners in the mix at present. Razgat Lioglu there or thereabouts. The only man who might be a little bit disappointed of that lead group, Chaz Davies, who remember started from 5th place and is now in 7th, although maybe not for much longer. He looks to the inside of Michael Ruben Rinaldi and comes through for 6th. Here comes Davies on the tail of Razgat Lioglu. There's been a deficit for the Yamahas down that back straight compared to the Ducati all weekend. Davies exploits it. Even the last of the late breakers, Razgat Lioglu can't hold on to position there. Chaz Davies is released and Redding is really struggling. Redding is tumbling backwards. Bautista's through. Razgat Lioglu gets a better line there off the final turn on Chaz Davies, who sweeps across the block. Rinaldi's come past Razgat Lioglu. Haslam's in the mix as well. Rea is 1.5 seconds clear, but it's all kicking off behind him. through the long left-handers, turns 10 and 11, and in towards turn 12, where there might be an opportunity here for Chaz Davies. We ride on board now. For the moment at least, Scott Redding is able to defend his position, but as things stand on lap number 3, it looks like only a matter of time before Davies forces his way through. Could well be in the slipstream if he can get a good run coming off turn 15. We watch back now from Redding. The two Ducatis going at it. This is all for 4th position, and actually they'd be well served if they could get onto the tail of Van der Mark and Bautista in front, but Redding has hemorrhaged time and pace so far in this in the early running. Bautista looking to the inside on Van der Mark here for 2nd. Davies doing the same on Redding, who once again defends. He's been brilliant in defensive position through this season, but he's gone deep around the final 2 turns, and Davies is finally through. Can Redding respond into turn number 1? Bautista up ahead is really all over the tail of Michael Van der Mark. Bautista ducks out to the inside line into turn 1. The Yamaha man closes the door, so still it's Van der Mark in 2nd, Bautista in 3rd. The change of position is Davies on Redding. Here goes Davies down the inside of Alvaro Bautista, catches the Spaniard completely by surprise. Brilliant manoeuvre that from Chaz Davies.
Yeah, great stuff from Davies.
Look at Chaz Davies closing down Michael Van der Mark. And there goes the Ducati. They never know which way those red machines have gone, and when we watch on board it makes it look even more dramatic. Davies is through to 2nd, and Bautista might be able to inflict even more pain here on Michael Van der Mark as they head back down into turn number 1. Another man with a good top speed advantage, Bautista. For the moment he's tucked up behind the Dutchman, but 4th place for Bautista, having been picked off by Chaz Davies. Far from disastrous. It's Ray, Davies, Van der Mark, Bautista. Redding still there or thereabouts. A new personal best last lap around. Here comes Bautista on the inside of Van der Mark. This is for 3rd position, doing exactly what he needs to do, capitalising on his lightweight and power down the back straight. We've seen he's consistently among the fastest in the speed track down the back straight, and that was the case on the Ducati before, and it's the case now on the Honda as Alvaro Bautista comes through for 3rd position. Ray Davies, Bautista provisionally on the podium, 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 places. Then it's Van der Mark and Redding, still less than 3 seconds covering our top 5. Good racing up at the front, as we largely anticipated. Interesting to see that the Yamahas are struggling once again as Michael Van der Mark slips backwards, and Loris Baz obviously had already got into difficulty.
Yeah, you can see Baz there just crashing on his own through turn 15, and disappointment there for Baz after what had been a pretty good weekend. He qualified in the front row of the grid, but really left with very little to show for a weekend now.
And Alex Lowe's doesn't have the top-end disadvantage in the same way that Razgatlioglu and the Yamahas have had so far this weekend. So he could well be in a situation where both Haslam and Lowe's are able to make it on Razgatlioglu, although just as I say, that Toprak has got a really good run there off turn number 15. And it's up to Alex Lowe's now to try and make a pass down the inside of Leon Haslam into the final 2 turns of lap number 8. Haslam remains bold, remains determined, but gets pushed out of the way by Alex Lowe's. And that sort of opportunity for Xavi Forest to come through up the inside as well, and Leon Haslam has lost 2 places in one go. He's going to come back around the outside now, down the start finish straight, and here goes Lowe's on the inside of Toprak. Toprak always late on the brakes, holds on for the lead at the moment if he can get it stopped, which he does, but that's a bad outcome for Leon Haslam, who looked like he was racy on the tail of Razgatlioglu, didn't get the job done quick enough, and as a result has been punished by 2 Kawasaki's. Here we go again then. Michael Van der Mark, who's tumbled gradually backwards from 2nd in the early running, now to 4th, is under pressure to hold on to that 4th spot. With on his tail, Scott Redding, the current championship leader, who looks to the inside now into turn 16. He's got the move done if he can get it stopped. Van der Mark is poised for the cutback. Redding runs wide, but not so wide as to allow Van der Mark back through, and the Flying Dutchman is looking as though he's had his wings clipped here. He's down into 5th position, and here comes Rinaldi, looking to take that 5th place away. He's not quite good enough into turn number 1, but that too is only a matter of time. Rinaldi faster than both men ahead of him at present.
Yeah, we've seen some great battles all the way through. Rinaldi now down the inside of Michael Van der Mark, and it's hard to see how Van der Mark's going to have too much to answer back against Rinaldi. We've seen at different times Rinaldi half a second a lap faster than that Ducati. If Van der Mark's going to have a chance, it's into turn 5. That's Melandri's bike parked up just at the front of the field last time around. Chaz Davies, having moved away from Alvaro Bautista, he pulled in 0.3 of a second on Jonathan Ray, so he's now 1.3 seconds behind the race leader. So we'll see if he's able to keep closing that down.
we see the dice for 7th place. That's Xavi Forés through on Toprak Razgatlioglu. Now that he's got through, can Haslam do the same? Can Lowe's do the same? Or can Razgatlioglu respond? He's close to the tail of Forés still. Haslam's in the mix as well. Don't rule out Lowe's from passing all 3 of these, because there is still almost 5 laps to go. Sykes being dropped off them a little bit at the moment, half a second down, and Gerloff is right with him, but certainly a 4-rider fight at this stage for 7th.
Yeah, it's good to see Xavi Forés on the number 12 bike at the front of this. Well, Lowe's running in very hot down in towards turn 7 there, just struggling to get that bike stopped. But for Xavi Forés, really good to see him at the front of this group. This is the best we've seen from him in the 2020 season.
What a shame for Alex Lowe's. He was looking menacing on the 3 riders in front of him, and instead of being able to make the pass, he's gone back to the back of the group again, down to 12th position now behind Garrett Gerloff and Tom Sykes. So I was just saying that there was an opportunity for Lowe's, and instead it's turned into a bit of a disaster. He should be able to get back past Gerloff quickly enough. In fact, he's already looking down the inside of Garrett Gerloff. The Texan closes the door. Lowe's needs to remain composed and calm here. He's got 5 riders for the taking directly in front of him. It's Forés who leads the group at the moment for 7th place. Here goes Lowe's up the inside of Garrett Gerloff in towards the final 2 turns to complete another lap. After this one, there'll only be 4 remaining. And look at Chaz Davies down the inside of Jonathan Ray into turn number 1. Ray's lead has been swallowed up, and Chaz Davies is looking set now for his first victory since the USA last season. That came from absolutely nowhere. Ray loses ground, Davies exploits, Ray needs to respond quickly and does so. Straight back down the inside. Davies now, they're dancing on the circuit, swapping and changing for places. Now Ray's got the inside and will repay the compliment. That is stunning from 2 riders who've so often taken the fight to one another and been rivals in recent seasons in the Superbike World Championship. Ray recovers the lead, but Davies certainly looking like a man on a mission. Alex Lowe's making a good fight back, and there he goes, up the inside of Toprak Razgatlioglu. Something to prove there, I would suggest. Razgatlioglu, of course, the man who replaced Alex Lowe's in the Pata Yamaha squad, and Lowe's has found his way in front of Razgatlioglu, who repays the compliment down the inside. Once again, stunning racing here in Motorland Aragon. Lowe's is right up to the outside line, and here Leon Haslam goes, and he too was replaced by the man he's directly fighting against here, in his case, in the KRT squad by Alex Lowe's. So 3 men with something to prove here, going at it for 7th position. Forés, now that he's been pushed back to 10th, may have his work cut out to hold on. Gerloff and Sykes right with him as well. Here comes Lowe's again. He's got Haslam. Has he got Razgatlioglu as well? Toprak holding on around the outside line. This is great racing for 7th. Well, the run of consecutive victories for Ducati was ended by Jonathan Ray, and the run is going to be extended now for Kawasaki with 2 consecutive race wins. We're watching the fight for 7th position. Lowe's getting out-battled there by Leon Haslam. Razgatlioglu somehow 11.5 seconds back from teammate Van der Mark has managed to hold on and defend that 7th position. But up at the front, exiting the final turn to make it 2 wins out of 3 this weekend in Aragon, it's Jonathan Ray who takes the lead of the World Championship here in Motorland Aragon.